One thing I'd like to know that we didn't go into with MR2s in the first one is explaining that within the second generation MR2, there's generations of engines within that car.
Correct.
That sometimes throw people when you say it has a Gen 4 motor, Gen 4.3. When we had the SW20, second generation MR2, for the very first time in the US as an NA, is that the Gen 1 engine?
Good question. So,
okay. It's even more complicated than that?
Yeah. So Toyota has a fun way of having chassis designations and then engine designations.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of car makers, they're one and the same, like a C6, and then it's got an LS3 in it. So similar, but different in that the MR2s have chassis code, which would be an AW11 or Mark 1, an SW20 or Mark 2, a ZZW30 or Mark 3. So a mark or a chassis code is how you refer to the car.
Okay.
And then you have the engine, which is either in a Mark II, an SW20 is either a 5SFE, which is the 2.2 Camry or Celica engine, the NA motor, or you have the 2-liter 3S GTE, which started as the Gen 1 in the ST165 Celica Alltrack.
Yeah.
And then you got to the Gen 2 in the ST185 Celica Alltrack in 1990. That, effectively that exact same motor, is what's in the Gen 2 or Mark II, MR2. So you have a Gen 2 came in the Mark II. Okay. But then you had, in 1994 to 1999, in Japan, you had still the Mark II, but over in Japan and England, then they have then revisions of the chassis.
Oh boy.
So you have Rev 1 through 5, which is basically like every 2 or 3 years. So by the Rev 4 and Rev 5s, those were 94 to 99. Those now had the Gen 3 3S GTE, which was also in the ST205 Celica Alltrack Turbo.
Okay.
So that, and then the Gen 4 was never in an MR2. We took those out of a Toyota Caldina. It's a station wagon in New Zealand and Australia and Japan. Yeah. It was only sold New Zealand, Australia, and Japan. So it's a front engine turbo. They had all-wheel drive, automatic or manual. Basically a 5-door hatch, like an Impreza wagon.
Oh.
Uglier. It wasn't a good-looking car. But you got a lot more modern once you got to the Gen 4. You got the coil-on plug. You got, the side feed intake manifold, high-impedance injectors, integrated turbine housing with the exhaust manifold, all the cool stuff that made the Gen 4 a lot better. The Gen 5 was just out of the next chassis version of the Caldina. So now you have Caldina chassis. ST215 is Gen 4. ST246 is the Gen 5. Which the Gen 5, they just basically went back to the center feed intake manifold, changed the ejectors again, but it's the same long block. It's the same turbo. They were immobilized ECUs, so they have a different ECU. But effectively, it's the same motor with a different intake manifold and injectors on it. So yeah, you have crossing
about this stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of cross pollination here. So when we're talking to a customer, it's going to be what chassis do you have? First question.
Okay.
Second question, what motor is in it? They usually don't know.
When
I have a turbo motor. So we say, take a picture of your engine. And we'll tell you what year, because then there's visual differences, 91 and 92 versus 93, 94, 95 in the US.
When RCR filmed that stock, I didn't even forget the year, the white.
Yeah, that was a 91 car. Yeah.
Okay, a 91 stock SW20 turbo. What engine is that?
The Gen 2.
Okay.
Yeah, the Gen 2 3S GT is the only turbo motor that was ever in America.
Okay.
So either if it was in a Celica Alltrack or if it was in an MR2, it's the only one we ever got. Japan got the Gen 3, 94 to 99.
Okay.
Because in Japan, they never stopped making the MR2s. 1984 to 2006, it went straight through. They were uninterrupted there. Here, they were interrupted because, obviously they had to crash test the new ones, so we didn't get a 1990 MR2. But the early 91 cars were built in 90. And like really early ones, you actually can have 89 build dates on them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the Gen 3 came in the MR2 or the ST205. The Gen 4 was just never near an MR2. It was just in a station wagon.
I did. Okay.
In 98
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I've heard bro bragging for people who have a Gen 4 engine in an MR2.
Yes.
They would claim that a Gen 4 is the JDM MR2 engine.
Yeah, no.
No.
100% not the case.
Okay.
Should have been.
Yeah.
But by the time they put the Gen 3 in, there was almost no reason for them to even do that. Because the MR2s just weren't selling. And obviously in America in 95 they stopped them because they were selling none. They sold several hundred in 95.
Really?
And they were just leftover 94s. There wasn't anything different about them. So like we have a 95. We have a 95 NA that we Gen 4 swapped. And that's probably like one of 400.
Shoot.
You know, like because that was an NA chassis. The turbos were, you know, a little bit less.
Okay. Out there on your demonstration car that we're filming, you were talking earlier about what needs to be done. Okay, forgive me, what engine is that? That's a Gen 2?
That's a Gen 2.
That's a Gen 2.
Yeah, that's a factory turbo motor, yeah.
But tell me about the intercooler, because that's what we have out here and what we're looking at is what happens to an MR2 when you just breathe on it a little bit, but the potential that's there instantly reveals itself in the form of the intercooler.
Yeah, correct. So the factory Gen 2 setup in the MR2 ran 8 pounds of boost. And it was perfectly adequate for 8 pounds of boost, and they will run for 200,000+ miles. If they're unmodified and you're just changing the oil. Not many of them were left alone that way, obviously, and people started messing with them. As soon as you turn the boost up, that factory intercooler from the mid-'80s of technology is no longer adequate. Now you're just blowing hot air into the motor. You detonate the motor, you blow them up, and that's one of the early ways a lot of guys blew them up. Oh,
so when we see on Craigslist of all the turbo NAs where it just needs this or no engine or no motor, that maybe is the case?
Often, yeah. I mean, one of the other common issues with the Gen 2 3S GTE was they had graphite head gaskets. Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 had multi-layer steel. So basically like what would be effectively an aftermarket upgraded head gasket, but from the factory. The graphite head gaskets blew very easily once they got a little hot. So you got that just a little bit warm, not even pegged, and they blow. The metal head gaskets in the Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5, those you can peg them a couple times and they still won't blow. It's obviously not good for it, but I've pegged them a number of times on the track, like when we had like air in the system or a coolant leak or something like that on one of our race cars, one of our Gen 4 race cars.
When you say pegged, you mean
maxed out. Okay. Yeah, like on the needle, it's all the way up.
Okay.
Because if you have air in the system, that can happen in like 30 seconds. Yeah, like once you're up temperature, it'll just go from operating temperature to pegged.
Whew.
Yeah. So the upgraded intercooler is crucial. Is 100% necessary if you're going to run anything above stock boost. On 91, 92 car, the factory ECU had boost cut at 12 pounds. 93 to 95 in America, they had a 16-pound boost cut. So if you want to run above 12 pounds in 91, 92, you have to either unplug your map sensor, because that's the only thing the map sensor on a Gen 2 does is read vacuum pressure, or get a fuel cut defender. Hack that into your ECU wiring, and then you can manually set your own boost cut.
What did you do out here with this car that has a... Well, tell me about the intercooler that's in it now.
Yeah, so that's our standard prime upgraded intercooler kit. Basically, they're called Greddy style cores because Greddy is the one who originally made that shaped core. And that's your bar and plate intercooler design versus the original factory ribbon fin, which was just much less efficient. Okay. Just like a radiator. So the bar and plate of the Greddy styles are much more efficient, and it's like 4 inches thick compared to the factory one is like maybe 2 inches thick. So you have a lot more surface area. And that effectively then cools all the way up to 350 wheel.
Wow.
In terms of power. Yeah. But boost pressure, like you can only run so much on pump gas, obviously, but guys have run them, on smaller turbos in the 20s on PS on boost. Or you run a big turbo like 15, 16, 17 pounds.
Okay. So just doing a larger intercooler and your Greddy style intercooler and what kind of exhaust was in it?
That's the Motoria. They're basically originally they were a replica of the Greddy Power Extremes, but with much smaller cans. And then they changed the can design from the kind of torpedo style that the Greddy Power Extremes were to this just kind of squared off, cans that they are now. And for like $250, hard to argue with them. But it's a full 3-inch full stainless exhaust. Like, it's not going to rust.
And the combination
they discolor.
I'm sorry?
They discolor, but they don't rust.
Right. Yeah.